Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of the Up Supercast Game Club. My name is Brandon, and I am your host. And joining me today, I have Ilse.
I always forget the difference between Tamagotchi and Tamagotchi.
And I got Noah. Nice. And Tamagotchi is a Nintendo thing. Tamagotchi is the virtual pets thing. Yeah. That happened in the 90s. And I guess, is it still going? I think it's still a thing. I think it's a Japanese thing, and I feel like for context of this game, maybe we should explain Tamagotchis for people who don't know. Because this week we played Monster Tale for the Nintendo DS, and Tamagotchis, I think, inspired part of this game, so I guess we'll explain that in a bit. But Monster Tale, like I said, was on the Nintendo DS and was developed by Dream Rift and published by Majesco Entertainment. It was released on March 22nd, 2011 in North America. And that's it. It's only released in North America. The rest of the world was not good enough for this game.
Suck it, Japan.
No.
Yeah.
We finally got one.
Is this the first game we ever played on the Game Club that was never released outside of America? It might be.
I don't know, maybe.
Maybe.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, that's a rare thing, right? Where a game doesn't get released outside of North America. One off the top of my head I can think of is the Sega Genesis, the Sonic Genesis port of Sonic 1 for Game Boy Advance, which was like the worst fucking thing ever. It was the most botched port of that game that could have been ever made. And it was so bad, that's why they never released it. Luckily, that isn't the case with this game, where it wasn't just a fucking dumpster fire. So I don't really know exactly why it wasn't released outside of North America. Maybe sales-wise, it didn't do so great.
Maybe cost.
Yeah, I don't know. So Dream Rift, by the way, so this studio, if you haven't heard of them, I mean, it's not really surprising. They only ever developed 2 games. Monster Tale was the first game, and the second game they ever did was Epic Mickey Power of Illusion for the Nintendo 3DS.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Which is supposed to be apparently it was supposed to connect the Epic Mickey games with the Illusion games. Castle of
Illusion. It was supposed to be a direct sequel to Castle of Illusion.
Yeah. That's
which
strange.
I think that game was actually pretty decent. From what I've the couple of things I've heard about it, I've heard it's a pretty decent game. But then they never made another game. In fact, in April of 2015, they actually told Nintendo Force magazine that they were going to make a remake to Monster Tale. And here we are in 2020, August 2020, and yes, it doesn't exist.
It never happened.
Yeah, it's good to say that it's probably never going to happen. They haven't made a game since. Supposedly the remake was going to have rebalanced gameplay, new areas, and overworld shortcuts, which I guess which would have been pretty fucking sweet.
Yeah.
But yeah, that never happened. So I think Dream Rift is gone. I think they're gone.
No.
But funny enough, this game was made by two guys, not only 2 guys, but the director and the programmer for this game. It was Peter Ong was the director, and they came from EA. They came over from EA, and they made Henry Hatsworth in the Puzzling Adventure, which was, if you've ever played that game, kind of similar to this in terms of scope and just ideas of utilizing the DS in ways that it really hasn't been used before. To just make like a 2D platformer with some unique ideas. So it's interesting to see that they did that. They decided to just leave EA and make their own company. I picked this game this for us to play. And the reason why, I was subscribed to Nintendo Power for forever when I was a kid. And this is what I call a Nintendo Power joint, because Nintendo Power was all about this when it was coming out. They had previews for it, and they were saying some good things, and when it came out, they gave it a pretty good review. They gave it a 8 out of 10. and then they said good things about it. So I was like, this looks cool. And Nintendo Power was always good for pointing me to games that I might not have ever played otherwise. So I bought it at the time. I played it. I got about 70% of the way through, and then for whatever reason, I stopped playing it because something else came up, and I just never got back to it. So I was like, hey, I remember this game being pretty good. I want to go back and finish it, and that's why I picked it.
All right, sounds good.
So Monster Tale, the game itself is it's like a Metroidvania, I guess I'll say. It's a Metroidvania combined with virtual pet simulators.
Search action.
The search action. Sorry, yeah, we're changing it. We're using that term now. It's official. The search action game, and as you could say, I would almost call it like baby's first Metroidvania or search action. In a way.
Yes.
Like I think if you're gonna introduce somebody to the series, like you're gonna start them off easy. Like this isn't as like complicated or hard as some of the other ones. This is it's like an easier version.
Yeah, a very simple version of it.
No, I mean they hold your hand the entire way.
Yeah.
They never let you get lost, which is kind of the point of a Metroidvania, to explore.
Kind of, Metroidvanias are to. I mean, that's why it's called search action, right? Because you go around and you search for stuff.
Not in this game.
Yeah, there's not like that many secrets in there.
Yeah, there's a few here and there. There'd be times where like I'd look at the map and say, "Hey, I never went over there," so I'd find like a big gem or something, or
a trait slot.
Trait slot. Yeah.
Yeah, but it's not as like open-ended as your typical Metroidvania game. So you play as Ellie in this game, and she gets she wakes up or gets transported to a monster world, and Ellie's a young girl. She's, I don't know, 12 maybe, and she gets transported to this monster world, and she soon stumbles across an egg where it hatches, and there's a little monster, and she names him Chomp, and they become friends pretty quickly, and they work together to try to escape. She's trying to figure out how do I get back home. So in this world, she finds that it's been overtaken by other kids that somehow ended up here, and they've taken over the world and enslaved the monsters within it. In typical human fashion, I don't know how children manage to do it, but typical human fashion, we came in and fucked everything up. And now they're ruling over it, and not only does she have to get home, she's also trying to kind of stop them, their tyranny over the monsters, to kind of help Chomp at the same time. So the story is not. It's not a very complicated story. That's really all it is, right? And
pretty much,
you run into kids. Each parts of the map are like kingdoms that are ruled by these different kids, and they're each, kind of they're the boss battles at the end of each world. You beat the kid, and you kind of free their area. And that's about it. I mean, the game doesn't really get into anything more complicated than that.
No.
I feel
Does it even say how they got to the monster world?
Nope, they never explained.
I didn't think so. Yeah.
They never explained how they got there. They never explained how Ellie got there, and the way they go back is just like, I opened the portal, and that was it.
It's very bare bones in terms of the story. Don't look for anything here.
Yeah, I'll talk more about the story when, I guess we'll go into the spoiler section.
I don't think there's any spoilers to really even talk about. Like,
in that case, okay.
I mean, when we say babies first, not that it's like, you have to be a dumb baby to play this game, but like, it's bare bones, as simple as can be. There's nothing complicated about it, for better or for worse. So there's really,
but in turn, it's like
it
doesn't really. Yeah, so because it's like Simples usually sometimes can be a good thing, but there wasn't anything like interesting about any of the characters.
No,
because they were just like, it was so bland, and they like literally would just say like, oh, we showed up, we took over, that's it.
Yeah.
It's like just because, just
something,
no reason.
something about Chomp's mom. It's like,
Yeah,
okay,
yeah, that's the thing.
you never get to see her either.
Yeah, exactly. I was gonna mention that. Like, they make this in the beginning when they introduce it to you. It's like, oh, Chomp lost its mother. It needs to be reunited, and then it's like that becomes one of your main missions in the beginning to reunite Chomp with his mother. So you like makes you wonder. It's like, oh, it's probably like an old being. It's probably gonna be very caring. Blah 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 blah. It would be pretty cool to see like the mother if it was like entrapped by kids. And then you just, like, you beat the final boss, and it's like, you don't even get to see her at all. It's just this part of the ending. It's just like, you see text, it's like, and Chomp got reunited with his mother. It's like, that's it. Like,
yeah,
wow.
I mean, you don't even have a scene where Ellie's saying goodbye to Chomp.
Yeah.
They're supposed to be friends, and you get nothing.
Yeah, because the game doesn't really delve into, like, very much narrative at all, you don't really get to have that, like, character interaction and, like, build up of, like, why Chomp and Ellie are friends or why they really care about each other. And of course, as a player, it makes you don't care as much, of course, right? Because like you're not like invested in it. It doesn't give you anything to be invested in. And again, at least it's not. At least it doesn't try and then end up like stumbling over itself and telling a shit story. It just doesn't really tell one at all.
Yeah,
pretty much. And it's just like all the kids, like there's 5 kids that are following
Priscilla,
the main big spoiled girl.
Yeah.
And it's like the whole like the one's like a DJ, one's a surfer, the other one's really into like animals, the other one's a scientist. And it's funny because like in the beginning it's like they're all against you, like they want to stop you from like causing havoc or whatever because they want to be rulers. Because like some of them just didn't like being kids in the real world, but then you beat them and they're like, oh, okay, I don't want to be bad anymore. That's pretty much it. And then you barely have to say anything to convince them to be good.
You just gotta beat their ass. It's about combat.
Yeah, and then it's
it's slightly interesting that they all had like problems with being in the real world.
Yeah, I thought they were gonna like expand upon that, but they were just like, nah, we just didn't like it.
That part was interesting. Like the kids would be like, nobody cared about me in the real world. I was bullied, or like, and that was a little interesting, for sure.
But they went nowhere with that.
Yeah. A little. And then part near the
you
end
just
where
say,
they all, like try to help you, but
you just say like keeping monsters captive is bad, and like, okay, yeah, I see it.
That's the power of fighting. If there's anything I've learned about anime, shonen anime in particular, if you beat somebody up, in a fight, the power of fight will always be like, wow, I've learned I was wrong.
They have to agree with you after you beat them.
Yeah,
exactly. They have to. You beat their ass. You show them the way.
Yeah.
It's just how it is. It's that mutual respect through fighting.
I guess.
But yeah, hey, it's an anime trope. But yeah, I mean, when you play this game though, stories aside, the gameplay itself is this is one of the best things about the game, of course, is like the gameplay. You go through it, it's like a Metroidvania, but it's like a brawler. You punch with the Y button, and you end up getting a blaster as well. So that's kind of like Metroid type. And you explore this world. You have a map, just like most of these games do. And the map tells you, and this is the thing, it tells you exactly where to go, right? There's never a point where you're not sure where to go next. The game just has like a beacon, like, hey, this is where you go here. And when you're on one map, it shows you exactly what exit to use. That one will be like the blue, like flashing one. So you always know. It's very easy to just follow the map and go to where you need to go next. You never get lost, which again doesn't give you really any reason to explore if you just run from point A to point B.
It also feels like you're just less invested in the game because you're using less of your brain. You don't have to figure anything out. You just go.
Yeah. I mean, good things. There are some good things, though. I feel like we've been
Oh
pretty
yeah,
negative
we're
for the most
hammering
part,
this
but-
game a lot.
Yeah, but all that aside, I mean, there are some good things. I mean, the gameplay itself is pretty good, and the combat, it's not like overly complicated or anything.
It feels satisfying to beat up the baddies.
Yeah, you can kind of one thing I liked was juggling the bad guys, and like the more you juggle them, the more money they drop.
Rewards,
and they can continually drop like more and more like higher money like gems.
Yeah.
Like if you keep juggling them in the air after you've defeated them, and I always found that was pretty fun to try to pull.
That was that was really cool. I really like Chomp's mechanics. The interaction between, because the DS is dual screen, obviously. There was, at that point in time when they were coming up with like random DS titles, developers were always trying to figure out cool ways to like have the bottom screen and the top screen interact with each other.
Well, unfortunately, not all developers, but the good ones were trying to be good with it. Yeah.
Yeah. And go on.
I was just gonna say, these guys already showed that they can do that when they made Henry Hatsworth. Because I'll just explain that game to you guys. I don't think either of you played it. On the top screen, it's like a platformer, right? Like a beat 'em up platformer. But on the bottom screen, there's a puzzle game going on, and you play the puzzle game to like add power ups to you and up on the top screen. And you use the touchscreen to play the puzzle game, and like it's really cool. There would be like sometimes there'd be bad guys getting added to the puzzle game that you need to clear out that would start shooting stuff at you, and there would be the better you do at it, like it's just a very unique way to like use two screens. And then you can see that they did the same thing here. They're like, well, we're gonna make a DS game. We're gonna use the two screens separately to do something cool that's never that hasn't really been done. And this game decide to do like a virtual pet like simulator on the bottom screen, which is where you have Chomp. And Chomp is like almost like a monster dimension that he lives in, and he has a bar that he can only go up to the top screen for a certain amount of time, and then you have to return him down to the bottom screen to refill that bar. Which I think is it's cool. It's a unique thing. And then on the bottom screen as well, you can find items from the top screen to send down to him, and he interacts with them. And those things they either they level him up, and they also can help you out and send attacks from the bottom screen to the top screen. So there's a lot of unique ideas here. I think is really cool.
Yeah, I really like the items that you get to use with Chomp, like the catapult and the race car. Like they attack the top screen in various ways. I wish there were more of them and that they did more different things, but generally I thought that was a really cool idea. I was always interested whenever I got like a frisbee. It would like spin around me to protect me and stuff like that.
Yeah.
I kind of wish it lasted
like,
more than like just one screen, because once you move over to the next screen or the next area, that just disappears. But...
Yeah. Sometimes you get them and they would activate like before you even left the screen, but you'd already killed all the bad guys.
Yeah, that's like one of the things I was like a little iffy about was all the items that you collected on the bottom screen. Like obviously you had like specific category items, like you had sweets like cookies and ice cream, and then you had like exercising equipment like balls and dumbbells and things like that.
Yeah.
Each item like raises a certain stat for Chomp to unlock new forms for him. So like to unlock a certain form, you need to like read books, for instance, or like eat sweets. So yeah, you have to be in that form and then use that item. It's not like if you were...
any of them add to it, but the specific ones that they like will add more.
Yes.
To, like evolving him.
Yes. So you have to
be in the prerequisite form.
Yes.
In order to get the adjoining
the bonus.
Yes.
Yeah.
So switching between forms is very tedious, I've noticed. There isn't just like a quick button change and you just go through the forms. You have to press start, go into Chomp's menu, select the form, back out every time. So, but when you're collecting the items, they just go to the bottom screen. Whenever you send Chomp back to the bottom screen, he'll automatically go to a random item and pick one to start munching or using it.
Yeah, but you can always touch it on the screen.
You can always touch on the screen, yeah. You can always touch on the screen to go to which one, that's good. But if there's no other items you want to consume and you want to save that item to build up so when you unlock a certain form you can use that, like go into that form and then use all the items right away, you can't do that because automatically he'll go and start using the item. And it's really annoying even if you just want to like recover Chomp's stamina because he only recovers stamina while he's in the bottom form. So,
yeah,
like,
I can see that. Like, it would have been nice to have like a pause.
Yeah, like a pause, do nothing kind of, or just a rest. Just rest to recover.
But also at the same time, the game does give you a shop where if you wanted to buy, if you needed to buy, like, oh, I need exercise equipment, you can just go to that shop and buy it. That's what I did to unlock a couple forms.
Yeah, but I wanted to use the coins to unlock, like, Ellie's upgrades. Like, I see it's kind of a waste to, like, try and, well, not a waste, but...
In the later game, it's when I didn't do it until the later game, when those prices for those items become, like, trivial. Because I had so much money, and it was just, like, I had thousands. So I was like, oh, these are only cost like 50. Right. Like I'll just fucking buy like a bunch of them. And it really doesn't take you that many to unlock the next form. I bought like 10 dumbbells and it was just like easily just like got to the next form like real quick. So
But I think part of the problem is that there are way too many forms. And that and the fact that you have to be in the prerequisite form in order to unlock the other forms. Like, the fact that you can't just be reading and unlock, a form in a different, anybody who likes reading.
Yeah, that would have been way better. That would have been so much better. But also, as much as I like the different forms, and like, you have 3 different elements, you have earth, water, and fire. And
there are light
And there
forms.
are the ones, the light forms, too.
Yeah.
But that was like the basic 3 for a good portion of the game.
Yeah.
I do like that a lot of forms have like their own moves that they unlock.
Every single form has a different move,
Yeah, and but it does require, like, every time you go into a new form, your stats basically become reset because you level 1 on that form, and you have to like level them up again, which I don't mind too much, makes sense. But you have to unlock the moves, and then if you want to use that move outside of that form, you have to master that move.
Yeah.
Which again makes sense. I get it.
Yeah, I do like that you can master the move and use it for any form, and then you can have forms with just like a bunch of moves to use. I
kind of wish there was an option where you could see what moves they learn, because a lot of the moves are kind of useless. It was only like the only one I really stuck with was the fucking drill.
Side spike?
Yeah.
Side spike was so good.
The anvil? I don't know.
Oh, the anvil is really good too, yeah.
Holy fuck, that thing was destroying everything.
It was super strong.
Once I got that thing, I was like, yo, everybody's dead. That anvil was just like...
Especially at the end of the game where everybody's green. Like, oh, anvil all day.
Yeah, it was just wrecking. It would wreck house, and you could just use it over and over again. It would just keep constantly dropping. When I got to the final boss, I just like destroyed that thing with that anvil. So I mean, some moves were good. I do like the variety there. Some of them were really dumb, but like some of them were really useful. It was just unique to see like a whole bunch of different types of moves that you can use.
Some were just useless though.
Like the jumping one. Did you get that?
The jumping one is fucking useless. Like there's never any reason to use it.
Yeah, you have a
once
wall
you get
jump.
the wall jump, it's like what the fuck was the point of that?
And then there was another one that like you use your tongue to grab enemies and then you can combo them and shit.
There were 2 of those.
Yeah. But it's like, it's kind of like, that's another thing with Chomp that I didn't like. His AI is very slow and like dumb. So
it's fat. It depends. I think it depends on the stats.
I think it depends on the form too.
It depends on the form and the stats, correct? But almost every form I've seen is like he literally like when he goes to run up to attack an enemy, he just hovers over them and he gets hit on his own. Like he just literally runs into them and loses half his life bar and just dies so easily.
That's why I didn't that's because I noticed he was doing that. That's why I just didn't let him do that.
Yeah,
Every time I called him up, I would just use his abilities. That's it.
Yeah.
I wouldn't let him like go around and like do the random punches because it would take too long. I'd like have the enemies like dead half the time.
Yeah.
Or I would combo them. So I would just use his skills in combo with my attacks, and that is where I was like, okay, that's where I had some like brief moments of like, oh, this is really good. Like, I like this combat, like combining his skills with mine at the same time. But like using him to just like attack, he was just pointless. There's no.
No, yeah, that was what was disappointing because in the beginning I thought the whole point of the thing, not whole point, but it was basically introduced like, oh, use Chomp to like attack enemies and things like that. So like I was trying to like figure out a way that would be like for Chomp to be useful. Like in the beginning when he came up with like, some of the moves before I had like all the blaster power-ups, like he had like the torpedo where you just like go across, and then he had the vertical spike that would like attack enemies from above or below you, which was useful sometimes. But it's like as you like increase Ellie's abilities, like once you got like the melee attacks, the charge blast, the hypercharge, and all that stuff, it's like, why would you just rely on yourself? There's no reason to rely on.
No, he has good skills though. You can call him up and use.
But that's the thing, like
combo.
You get discouraged in the beginning to like, why should I even unlock all the forms? Because you don't even know which fools are going to be good or not.
I was interested in unlocking.
I was in the beginning, but the combination of how long it took to unlock these forms and how tedious it was to like feed them the right items and things like that, without an actual guarantee that I would get a good move. Like after I unlocked like a good portion of the forms, I was just like, I feel like I'm kind of wasting my time, you know?
Well, I think there are multiple things here. I think first of all, like when you get a new form and you use it for a little while, you get to see their move fairly quickly.
Yeah, it's like level 3 or 4.
Level 3 or 4, yeah. You get to see it, and if you like it, I think you should move on. But I think our inclination is to see everything that each form has, and to do that, the game wants you to go to like level 30 for every form, and that's ridiculous. And they should have really toned that down a lot. Like it should have been like maybe 15 levels to master a form at most. And also, I mean, yes, that Chomp can sometimes feel useless because Ellie can take care of almost every problem by herself.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That's a problem, but, fuck, I forgot what I was gonna say. God damn it. I mean, in later sections of the game, he becomes a lot more useful because there are a lot of big enemies thrown at you, especially at the end of the game. But
the gauntlet things too, with like you had to fight a bunch of them.
Yeah, exactly. But it's a little annoying that Chomp is the only one that gets experience. Like Ellie never gets experience, and that's the main reason to use him is to level him up.
But that's the thing, he doesn't even gain experience if you don't use him. Like if you fight an enemy on your own as Ellie, he doesn't gain any experience. He can only gain experience if he attacks.
Yes.
Which is that slows things down a lot. Like in the beginning, I was trying to grind him up. I had to use like his attacks, but his attacks use his stamina. So only after like 4 or 5 attacks, you have to recover. So you have to wait till he goes to the bottom screen, and wait till it comes back up.
I mean, it takes like 2 seconds.
Yeah, but 2 seconds every time you face an enemy, it adds up.
I mean, just once you clear out a room, put him away. You know, that's what I was doing.
Yeah, at the beginning, his stamina doesn't come back very fast. Later on, his stamina comes back faster. I'm pretty sure. Yeah, you just have to like. It is annoying like that he only gets experience when he hits something, and Ellie gets nothing if she kills anything by herself. It just
overall feels like a waste every time. So like,
I'm
always inclined to like. I kind of like.
You can have them drop like treasures.
Yeah, money.
That's
items.
one of the things I did. Is like I increased the ability for Ellie, is like so enemies drop treasures more often, so that would speed up like the process too. But even then,
I kind of wish that Ellie got like. I kind of wish that like they lessened the amount of evolutions Chomp got to like focus it on certain aspects, and then gave Ellie like some kind of leveling system, because if she was going to do combat, might as well give her something like Maybe
Yeah,
not
'cause
only
the only
have
thing
Chomp.
you have is like you can buy upgrades in the shop for her to be stronger, but combat. I mean, I guess if you count like the money as the experience points, but it's not really the same.
Yeah, it's not.
Yeah, because it's random drops at the same time. So,
Mm-hmm.
but like I said, later on in the game, not only do the enemies drop more money, but also you can combo them to like keep their dead bodies like from falling down. And you can, the more you combo them, the higher like chance they have of dropping extra money. So you can just like combo their dead bodies to death. And I would do that with Chomp. You know, drop the anvil and it would pop their body up, and then I'd uppercut them and like keep them comboed in the air for a while and just like make a bunch of money.
Mm-hmm.
And I found that to be pretty satisfying.
Yeah, that's pretty good. I mean, I think the enemies, especially early on, like they feel a little bit damage spongy. Like you can be hitting them with melee attacks forever.
Yes.
But by the end, it starts to even out. Like once you get more of the upgrades and you get more of the arm attacks.
And if you do utilize the different type abilities, like with Chomp, the enemies do die very quick if you use the right
element,
attributes. They just like, if you use a fire against a grass, they're just dead in like 2 seconds. Like it takes like one hit to kill most of them.
Yep.
Yeah. So there is. I mean, because there was times where I was using the wrong ability. I was like, damn, these guys are tough. And I'm like, shit. I'm like, why am I using a water attack against a fire or against a grass guy? I'm like, that's why I can't kill these things, And then once I switched, I was like, oh, okay, yeah, there we go. Like for me overall, I thought the combat was like overall
it's pretty good,
satisfying enough.
It is fun, yeah. Well,
and you do unlock with Ellie. You continuously like throughout the game unlock like new attacks and like like wall jumps and the blaster and like, the different charge beams for the blaster and stuff that you can use for not only to unlock different areas in the map but also for combat as well. Mm-hmm. So I did like and they give them to you at a brisk pace.
Yeah,
I felt like you just are continually like just unlocking like moves and abilities, which I liked.
You get a lot of armband moves.
You do. I think it's like the focus, and like the armband is supposedly something that they really the other kids are jealous of and really want.
Who knows why? They're like,
who knows why?
They never even explained that either. It's true. Oh, jeez.
Yeah, it's bare bones in terms of the story. Yeah, with the whole Chomp thing, they really tried to do like the virtual pet thing, which is very reminiscent of Tamagotchis, which were huge in the 90s in Japan and America. Which these little LCD pets that you would have. They're just like these little like egg-shaped type of things, right? They have like 2 or 3 buttons on them, and you have just basically this little virtual pet on it. And that's kind of the idea from here that they got, where like you start off, you have a little tiny, small little monster, and you feed it, you give it, you play with it, and as time goes by, it evolves into bigger, different forms. And that's kind of the same thing with Chomp here, where on the bottom screen you feed him and stuff, you give him toys to play with, then he evolves and gets bigger.
It's a little sad that it like the playing, like you can't really like pet him or like play with him. Like really, you just feed him stuff, or he studies like the items that you put down there.
Yeah, he plays with things, or just you can't. It's just. Yeah, it would be cool if they had some sort of thing where you can pet or play him, or like some mini games with him or something,
Yeah. And the other thing I was gonna say was fuck. God damn it! Why does this keep happening to me? It's lost. It's gone. Whatever. Never mind.
Well, if you think about it, we'll go back. But yeah, I mean, I will say that some of the things I really did like a lot about this game. One is the music. I thought the music was very good.
Yeah, the music was dope.
It was way better than I thought it was gonna be.
Yeah, it was good. It was upbeat, and like there was a lot of different types where you go from area to area, and Overall, I never found it grating or unbearable. I just was like, this is some really good songs in this game.
Yeah, not just the music. The sound design was really good. Like all the sound effects, like from the enemies groaning and moaning, and like the moves from the blaster, everything was like really good. I enjoyed it.
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
yeah,
for the most part, like every time the text was on the screen, though, that shit was annoying as shit.
Yeah.
Oh, like the text scrolling sounds.
Yeah, that shit was so loud.
Yeah, there's a little bit of voice acting in the game as well. The kids have voices, and actually, some kind of popular voice actors in this game. Ellie, Brina Palencia is the voice of Ellie, and if you watch anime, she does a bunch of voices. But some of my favorite voices she's done is she does Chopper in One Piece, and she also does Mineta from My Hero Academia. So that was really cool. And then Mead was done by Todd Hapercorn, who does Natsu from Fairy Tail. And Zoe, the little girl, and she was Monica Riel, who does Bulma from Dragon Ball Z, and also does Froppy from My Hero.
Wow, really did have a lot of famous actors.
What the fuck? Did they record like one line and leave?
Yeah.
Yeah, there's not a lot of voice acting. There's just like little like things like and like like hey you, or like little random like little one-liners here and there, which is just
so
funny.
Weird.
Yeah. But it's like they got some like big name voice actors, and this was like back a long time ago before they had a lot of them had a lot of these roles too, which is just interesting to look back at. And again, I really like I think the sprite work is actually the animations and the sprite work in this game are actually very good.
Yes.
Ellie is extremely well animated. I like it a lot, like her combos and just the way she looks when she like does the uppercuts and the punches and the combos and stuff. I think she looks really cool.
Oh yeah, it's really good.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, she looks great.
Chomp.
I mean, pretty much everything in the game looks really, really good. Like the backgrounds look really, really good. The areas look great. The the enemies look great. Like even the items, they look great.
Yeah.
But yeah, a lot of the sprites, I mean, it's very colorful and just imaginative and look very, very kid-like. And I think they all look really good. They look really cool.
Yeah, they all look clean and bright.
Yeah,
it's nice.
Yeah, it is nice. And again, the animations are nice too, with not only Ellie, but with Chomp. I think all his attacks and stuff, the animations look really cool. He transforms into a lot of different things.
Yeah.
Mid-battle.
I feel like Ellie's design needed like a little bit more. Like she looks a little bland, but for the most part, I mean, she was cool.
Well, funny that you would say that. One of the things, though, that this game, the developers of the game actually told Nintendo Power in an interview when they were making this is when they chose Ellie to be the main character, they wanted a young girl, and the publishers, Majesco, thought that they thought it was a risk to have the main character be like a young girl because they wanted it to like, of course they wanted to go out to like a large audience. Here's the stereotypical, you can't have a girl be the main character, so they wanted Ellie to either be a male or more mature and sexy. Which is like,
I didn't mean that.
No, I know, it's just funny that you mentioned that, because it's just like, come on, dude, you know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
Oh man, of course they were like that. It sucks when publishers try to get involved with stuff like that, but it's cool that at least they were able to be like, hey, no, we want to have little girl be the main character, and they did let them do it. Hopefully. I'm gonna say that this game didn't sell a lot, not because of that, but just because it was just a unknown IP from an unknown publisher and an unknown developer. Like Majesco, you don't look at that and say, oh, Majesco, they publish a ton of fucking crazy games, and like the developers, you never heard of them. This is our first game ever, and like it's just there's a lot going against it. You know what I mean? A brand new IP, nobody's ever heard of them, so I can see why it didn't sell a lot. And I don't think that had anything to do with that the character wasn't male or anything like that,
Yep.
So, yeah, it's a shame. It's a shame that the game didn't sell a lot, because like I really would have liked to see that remake, because I think from the sounds of things, they were probably going to iron out like a lot of the criticisms we have about the game, like the little like nitpicks here and there. Like it sounds like they were really going to like try to like, just make this
Perfect
even
it,
better.
yeah.
Hopefully,
So
I mean,
it's like-
we'll never know. But
We'll never know. It sucks, but it sucks that it didn't happen because it would have been cool to see. And I would have hoped that they would have kept it 2D sprite, not gone it like 3D characters.
God.
They probably would have.
That would be way too much work.
Yeah.
that would have been a travesty.
Yeah. Because there's something to be, something great about 2D sprites sometimes, especially on the DS. The DS had like trash ass 3D. Like they did it right in a couple games, but for the most part, man, 3D on the DS was just.
It's hard. It's like 3D models don't age well. Sprites are like timeless. I love it.
I mean,
Yeah.
Most 3D. Well,
Most 3D.
maybe not most, but like the early 3D models don't age well.
Mm.
Yeah, exactly. And I mean, and the DS had like it wasn't known for having the greatest like 3D capabilities on it, so
Yep.
it was kind of like PS1-esque.
Yeah, if you
It was
look at
weird though, because like sometimes it would look like it looked better than like if you look at Super Mario 64 DS, it looked way better than
N64.
than N64 in terms of like just the
Yeah.
polygons they used. Like the resolution was obviously worse,
Yeah.
right? But like the models looked way better. So it's just, but still, that's also Nintendo doing 3D as opposed to I've seen some real trash 3D on the DS before from other developers.
Also, like it feels like you bring out expressions a lot easier with sprites than you can with the 3D models,
Mhm.
and you can get away with a lot of like not unreal. Well, I guess unrealistic animations and things like that, but it still makes sense and fits.
Mhm.
So like, with 3D models, if you do something unnatural, it's like really obvious if it doesn't feel right.
Yeah, I can see that. You have a lot more leeway for like stylistic choices.
Yes, and that adds more to the charm of the game.
Yeah, and for me, I like, especially older games. I really would rather have a 2D. I don't like 2D 2.5D that much. Like if you're gonna have a side scroller, a lot of times I prefer it to be a sprite based side scroller.
Yeah, 2.5D
Like-
is disgusting.
It's not disgusting
Except
now
in-
because we have games like Donkey Kong Country Returns, and stuff
And
like that,
Smash
right?
Ultimate, yep.
Yeah. So there's obviously games that are very good that are now, but back then, man, 2.5D just fucking blowed ass.
Mm.
It looked bad. It usually controlled bad, and yeah, I didn't like it. But with that being said, is there any final thoughts? Anything we hadn't talked about really in Monster Tale you want to mention?
I think we covered most of it.
Bills?
The thing I was gonna say that I forgot was that Chomp, he grows into like teenage and adult forms, even if you
Yeah.
don't like really play with the evolutions that much. And I felt that was kind of weird. I felt like it could have been connected to you actually playing with him, because as soon as you beat like the first boss, he becomes like teenage form, and like there's a whole new set of evolutions, and then you beat like I think it's like the second boss,
The second boss.
which is too close together.
Yeah.
First of all.
Yeah, they should have waited. Like it should have been like the first. Maybe the second boss unlocked the teenagers, and then the fourth boss unlocked the adult form.
Yeah.
Because there was 5 bosses. It was just like boom, boom, here you go. Like yeah, I agree.
Yeah, so I just felt like you getting those forms had almost nothing to do with like you actually.
No, they just slapped it on. They didn't have like a real connection on like why or reason why anything happens, just like with the story or anything in this game.
Yeah, so it didn't feel connected to you actually having those evolutions, which was kind of weird.
Weird pacing as well with doing it really quickly like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. So I'll get into recommendations. And I'll start with Ills. Ills, would you recommend this?
You picked
Don't you
it.
start with yourself?
Oh yeah, start with myself.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll start with myself. Sorry. Oh, okay. I'll start with myself. I'm gonna say yeah, because I played this game before, and obviously I didn't finish it then. I finished it now, but back then, I liked enough what I played, to be able to say, well, I want to go back to it, and obviously have you guys play it too. So I'll say, yeah. I mean, I still, it's not. They're obviously what we said. I mean, there's things that they could iron out. There's things that could be improved with this game, but I think even those things being said, I mean, it's still it's still a well put together video game. It does not like it plays poorly or anything like that. And I think especially if you're new into the genre of search action, this is a very good starting point, I think. And overall, it's just it's a very cutesy, cool experience of a video game. It's nothing really inherently bad, even though we had a lot of nitpicks. It's still overall a good game. So I would say, yeah. Ills?
Yes, I would recommend this game. I think it does the fundamentals really well. Like, the gameplay feels good, the visuals are good, the audio is good. It's just like anything beyond the fundamentals, it doesn't do very well. Like, the story, not so good. The pacing, the progression, the thoughts beyond just like the basic gameplay. The most fundamental aspects of the game, they don't do as well. So, yes, a tepid yes.
Mm-hmm. Noah?
Yeah. This game has a lot of charm, and the main thing to take away from it is like the interactivity with Chomp between like the two screens is like done in a very interesting way. So yeah, I recommend it, but don't have to beat yourself over it if you didn't play it or go crazy trying to find it. Like, if you happen to fall in your lap or you see it somewhere, like, okay, yeah, it's a cool game to play. It's worth it.
Don't throw it in the trash.
Yeah.
Noah 2020.
I mean, it might be. I don't know if it's worth money. I mean, it might be. I actually didn't look up the price of this game because I already had a copy of it. But maybe it's worth a bit because it didn't sell a lot. And who knows if they made a lot of copies. Let's find out right now. It's not going to let me. All right, fuck it. But anyway, yeah, I mean, definitely don't throw it away. And now it's time to take Monster Tail and put it on the list!
The list!
You can follow along with the list in the Pastebin link that we put in the description below. Where every episode of the Jump Up Supercast Game Club, we add what game that we played to the list, and it's just ever growing. And we add a game every regular episode as well. So right now we're all the way up to 205 games on the list, and number 206 here is going to be Monster Tail. And yeah, okay, so I'll start.
For a second, it sounded like you putting it on the bottom.
No, I don't want to put it on the bottom, obviously. But I'm trying to think here. I think I would put it maybe. So I'm looking around John Wick Hex, right? Like above or below that game, maybe.
Okay.
I think it's better. It's better than Apotheon. But then I don't know if it's better than. I don't know. What do you guys think?
I was looking around Zombie and My Neighbors around there.
Oh damn. Fuck. I was initially looking at around Goemon, but I can go down. I mean, I don't want it above Bloodlines, but I think it's better than Shantae, so there's a thing
Sure.
there. Fuck. John Wick Hex.
Where the fuck is Goemon? What number is it?
It's
Oh,
125.
it's 125. Okay.
Fuck. Yeah, I don't want it above Bloodlines for some reason.
Yeah, I mean that's what I was
Or
thinking
Demon
too, but,
Crest, or...
Well, that's what I was saying. I was saying like maybe above Shantae, but not above Yeah, I'm
Okay.
okay with above John Wick Hex.
I also would be okay with above Shantae as well, because I understand that. Because like Shantae is also similar. Like Shantae is like almost like a Metroidvania type of game, but the combat isn't as good.
Yeah. And moving around some of those environments, like
Oh yeah,
kind of a chore.
Yeah,
It's very
remember.
it's Game Boy Color. It's very primitive in a lot of it. Like Shantae has some cool things going for it, but the first game they expanded on a lot better in the later games. And the first game has some issues with it. So yeah, I'm actually okay with that. I think that's a pretty good spot.
All right.
So where are we putting it?
I'm okay with above Shantae.
I wouldn't want to put it. I was gonna join you guys in around the John Wick area.
How about below Bloodlines? We'll move Shantae later.
Yeah, I definitely feel more agreeable
I'm not
with
like
that.
super fussed either way. It would be like either move Castle Bloodlines up or move Shantae down a little bit, but it's only a couple spots, so it's like I don't really care either way. So either spot is fine.
I'd be a lot more
Alright.
comfortable if it was around John Wick. So.
All right.
Sure, we'll
I'll
put it above John Wick.
Above
next.
John Wick. It's fine.
We're making ourselves another little game club block.
Yeah.
It's hard not to. I mean, Game Club is the most represented.
That's true. There's a lot of game club blocks on this. So, all right, that puts it at number 140 on the list. Surrounding it, and these are all game club games, by the way. So all these games that I'm about to mention do have individual episodes where we talk about those games. So number 138 is Demon's Crest. Number 139, Castlevania Bloodlines. 140 is now Monster Tale. 141 is John Wick Hex. And 142 is Apotheon. And yeah, with that being said, that is the Jump Up Supercast Game Club for Monster Tale. And if you enjoyed listening to this episode of the Game Club, make sure you check us out on your favorite podcast listening service of your choice, including SoundCloud, iTunes, and YouTube, where new episodes of the Game Club go up every other Thursday, and new episodes of the Jump Up Supercast go up every single Monday. Give us a follow, give us a like or a share, and feel free to let us know what you thought about Monster Tale if you've ever played it, or if you're interested in playing it in the comments below. And if you really like the podcast and you want to support us, we do have a Patreon where for $1 a month you get a chance to choose one of our Game Club games every round. Last time we had a game chosen for us, we played Bust a Groove. We've also played games like Amnesia and Star Control 2 as examples of some of the games that we've had our Patreon supporters choose for us. And we got one coming up soon. So if you want to get in on that, $1 a month gives you the chance to do that. We have a Discord and everything you can join as well. You can also follow us on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. Stay up to date on everything Jump Up Supercast related. And when we post episodes, we'll post them on those social media pages so you know when they're live. As well, you can catch us streaming sometimes on twitch.tv/jumpupsupercast. Been playing a lot of Fall Guys recently on that.
Mm-hmm.
And as always...
And Divinity.
And Divinity. We're playing Divinity as well. So we're doing a lot of streaming lately. So check us out. Give us a follow. We'd really appreciate that. That'd be awesome. So before we go, Ilse, it's your turn again, man. So why don't you tell everybody what we're going to be playing next?
All right. Well, the year's winding down, and I only have a few more picks left, and it's time to get back into the RPG section of my list. So we're gonna start off strong, and we're gonna play what is widely regarded as the best JRPG on the Sega Genesis, Phantasy Star 4: The End of the Millennium.
Never even heard of that one, actually. So it should be fun.
Well,
This is going to be definitely the first Phantasy Star game that I would actually play to completion. So
yeah,
it's going to be cool. All right. Well, awesome. So we're going to be playing Phantasy Star 4, The End of the Millennium, next time. And come join us and listen to what we got to say about that. I want to thank everybody here for listening. Thank you, Ills and Noah, for playing games. And everybody who supports us, we really appreciate you. Go out there, play some video games. Be nice.